So Vivo just recently quietly dropped a new budget phone, the Vivo Y31d. Now don't quote me on this, but I think that is a successor to last year's Y29 4G. It's sitting alongside the standard Y31 5G, which dropped back in October to replace the Y29 5G. Now even if that's not the case, the point is that it's still a new 2026 phone. So let's unbox it, take a closer look and figure out whether this is something you should be interested in. When it comes to budget phones from most Chinese brands, one thing they still consistently do well is in the box experience. Inside the box, aside from the phone itself, you get a charger, which is always nice to see, and you also get a phone case included. The case is transparent, and from the feel of it, it's that typical soft TPU material, the kind that looks clean and clear on day one, but after a few months of use and exposure, it'll probably start turning yellow. But having one in the box is still better than not having one at all. The Vivo Y31d will set you back around $200 for the 6GB RAM and 128GB storage version, and at that price, it's going directly up against phones like the Samsung Galaxy S17 4G. Now physically, just by looking at it, you'll notice that it's visibly thick, just like your mom, and when you pick it up, also heavy, and its chunkiness can be explained by the battery size. Design-wise though, I actually like it. You get a punch-hole selfie camera on the front, which already makes it look more modern than something like the Galaxy S17 4G, which is still using a teardrop notch. And honestly, in 2026, I don't really understand why Samsung is still doing that on some of their budget phones. The frame and the back are plastic, no surprises there, but the back has this glass-like finish that makes it look more premium than it actually is. And it doesn't attract fingerprints easily, you really have to look for them. I think the color plays a big role here, especially this glow-white finish, it just reflects right nicely. There's no headphone jack, so you'll have to use Type-C earphones if you still use wired earphones. Then it is dual SIM, which is great, but there's no microSD card slot this time. The Y29 4G had one, but this one doesn't, so you're locked into whatever storage option you buy. Vivo has done some remodeling around the back too. The camera island has shrunk down compared to the Y29, the lenses are staying put, but that aura light, that color changing ring Vivo loves, has been downsized and is relocated right next to the secondary lens. I think it makes it look cleaner. Overall though, this is a good looking phone. The design is clean, the glow white color is attractive like your mom, and it carries a presence that feels a little above its price tag. That's always a good sign. When it comes to the display, it's very similar to what we saw last year. We're looking at a typical budget phone panel with fairly thick bezels all around. Nothing shocking there. It does have a 120Hz refresh rate, but at this point, it is not something to be praised because all phones have it, but it's smooth, which is the point. Brightness is also impressive. Vivo claims up to 1250 nits, and while I can't measure that exactly, I can tell you that it's really bright, very usable outdoors, especially for a $200 phone. But here's my problem. This is an LCD panel running at 720p resolution in 2026, and that's where I start to feel a little shortchanged. Because right across the aisle, the Samsung Galaxy S17 is serving up an AMOLED display at 1080p resolution. And once you've seen what AMOLED does to contrast, blacks, and color vibrancy, going back to LCD just hits different, and not in a good way. And look, the display isn't bad, it looks nice in everyday use. The brightness saves it in a lot of situations, and 120Hz smoothness goes a long way towards making the experience feel premium. But we just can't shake the feeling that with just a few different decisions, an AMOLED panel and then a bump to 1080p, this could have been a genuinely excellent display. Instead, it's a decent one. And decent, when it could have been great, is always a little frustrating. So powering the Vivo Y31d is a brand new chip, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6S 4G Gen 2. And I just want to take the moment to appreciate how spectacularly confusing that name is. Snapdragon 6S 4G Gen 2, that's 4 separate descriptors crammed into one chip name, and somehow it still tells you almost nothing useful. Qualcomm and MediaTek are both out here playing 4D chess with their naming, slapping on random letters, numbers, and generation tags like they're generating a password. And I think at this point the confusion is intentional. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, then baffle them with bullshit. But strip away the name and what you actually have is a competent budget 4G processor. Don't come into this expecting flagship level multitasking or super smooth gaming sessions on heavier titles. That's not what this chip is built for. What it is built for is for handling your day-to-day social media, streaming, messaging, and the occasional casual game. And at that, it does the job without making you want to throw the phone across the room, which at this price point is genuinely the bar. When you look at the benchmarks, performance lands very close to the MediaTek Helio G99 found in phones like the Samsung Galaxy S17 4G, and it's only a small step up, from the Qualcomm Snapdragon 685 that powered the previous Vivo Y29, so it's more of a mild refinement instead of a huge leap forward. Now where things get a little more frustrating though is the RAM and storage situation. We've got two configurations, 6GB and 28GB or 8GB to 56GB, and I'll just say it plainly, the 6GB and 28GB version should not exist. This phone has no microSD card slot, we already established that, so whatever storage you buy is the storage you're stuck with, and on 28GB in 2026, with the way apps, photos and videos eat through space, it fills up faster than you think. The base variant feels like a trap. If you're buying this phone, do yourself a favor and go straight for the 8GB to 56GB version. Your future self will thank you. The good news though is that Vivo upgraded the storage type to UFS 2.2, which is faster than the older eMMC 5.1 used in the Y29, and storage speed is one of those underrated things that quietly improved your experience. On the software side, the Y31d runs OriginOS and it actually looks really nice. If you've used older Vivo phones running FunTouch OS, this feels like a step forward. The interface is cleaner, faster, more modern, and just a bit more polished overall. Customization is solid too. Wallpapers, themes, icon styles. You got enough control to make the phone feel personal without diving into complicated settings. But of course, the budget phone tax is present and accounted for. You boot this thing up and you're greeted by the usual suspects. Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, and a handful of games you didn't ask for. The silver lining though is that they aren't glued down. You can uninstall them in about 30 seconds. It's annoying, but it's how they keep price at $200. When it comes to software support, Vivo hasn't clearly stated the update policy for this device, but based on what we typically see in this category, I'd estimate around 2 years of updates, just standard for a budget phone, unlike Samsung which gives 6 years. Now if there's one feature carrying the Vivo Y31d, it's the battery. We're talking about a massive 7200 mAh battery, and finishing this battery in a single day is going to be a challenge for most people. You would have to really try. Heavy navigation, gaming, constant video streaming, even then, we probably still have some change before bedtime. And for moderate users, it is not crazy to say that 2 days is very realistic. Now last year's Y29 4G was already a battery monster with the 6500 mAh cell, which is already exceptional. Yet somehow, Vivo looked at that and thought, you know what, let's add another 700 mAh on top, which is the correct move to do. Charging comes in at 44 watts, which is fast enough not to be a complaint. It's very fast for the price point. Now let's talk about the cameras. The Y31d keeps the exact same setup as its predecessor, 50 megapixel main camera and an 8 megapixel selfie camera. And after using it, this is not a camera system that is going to excite anyone. This is a very bare bones camera setup. It exists to do the basics. Take photos for memories, capture moments with friends, maybe record some evidence or something, or whatever weird stuff you people do with your cameras. But it's not for what you call a camera phone. The main camera is serviceable. In good lighting you'll get usable photos, colors are decent, shots are shareable, and for many budget buyers, that's enough. But push it into tougher conditions and its limitations show pretty quickly. And if cameras matter to you, something like the Samsung Galaxy A17 4G is simply the safer choice in this price bracket. The 8 megapixel selfie shooter here offers absolutely nothing. No really, it takes photos of your face and that's the entire feature set. There's no sharpness to write home about, no flattering processing, no clever software tricks to compensate for the hardware limitations. If selfies are important to you, then the Y31d will test your patience on a daily basis. Video is capped at 1080p and 30 frames per second on both cameras. It gets the job done, that's just about it. So here's the bottom line with the Vivo Y31d. This is a phone that understands its priorities. We're getting excellent battery life, reliably fast charging, a design that actually looks pretty nice, and a display that, despite the lower resolution on paper, is still bright and smooth enough for everyday use. There's also a newer chip inside, which brings small but meaningful improvements to the overall experience. But no phone exists in a vacuum, and at $200, the Y31d has very many competitors including the Galaxy A17 4G and the Redmi Note 14 4G. Compared to them, the Y31d gives you stronger dust and water resistance, a significantly bigger battery and faster charging, but the Redmi and Samsung fight back with sharper displays and better cameras. Performance across all three will be very similar, basic, reliable, and exactly what you'd expect in the budget category. If you're a high school or university student on a strict budget and you need a phone that will survive a long day of classes, transit, and late night study sessions, some gaming here and there and capturing memories, this phone could be for you. If you are buying a phone for a parent or a grandparent, Someone whose usage consists primarily of phone calls, WhatsApp, and doom scrolling on TikTok until 2 am, they will absolutely appreciate a phone they only have to charge every other day. Thanks for watching. I'm Milan and this is Fuzitech. Subscribe.